recording later. Do what you gotta do. Hi, everybody. Hi, we're so happy to see you. Today is February 17th, our umpteenth episode of MVP Office Hours. We're really glad you're here. And we are recording, so there's that thing. We typically have our meetings on the first and third Friday of each month. Dale will not be joining us today, but you can catch him on LinkedIn. You can find Squire and myself on Twitter. Our handles are on the screen. We are sharing that screen, right, Squire?
Yep.
While mvpofficehours.info has a lot of information, mvpofficehoursus@gmail.com is not the best way to get in touch with us. The best way to get in touch with us is through the success community, an MVP Office Hours group. If you're not currently part of this, you should join. And so we'd welcome you there. Squire, can you go to the next slide?
Beach to it.
All right, good. I don't know where your sharing slide is. I'm looking at the slides myself. So
Oh, okay. Yep.
So
you just go and I'll keep up on the share.
You're amazing. All right. So like I said, first and third Friday, our next call is March 3rd. The format of our call is an open Q&A. If you've got a question, pop it in the chat and we'll get to you based on that order. We will start with the questions that popped up in the community group. Registration link is on the screen, bit.ly/MVPOH. Recordings are on YouTube. We do have a handful of your favorite hashtags that we would love for you to use if you post about fun stuff. Welcome to all of you, current and future MVPs. We ask that you all participate and share your insights and recommendations with the group. Please feel free to post links and resources in the chat. If you have a question, post your question in the chat or just raise your hand with the reactions while we're on the call and we'll add you to the lists. As you can see, Squire has got Zell, Todd, and Brandon lined up. We do recommend sharing your screen, but please do not share real company or private information. We don't want anyone to get in trouble down the line, and it is being recorded and it is being posted on a public YouTube channel. We want to protect you. And then while Dale's not here, we do have problems with Squire all the time. We love to have fun and be informed.
You're not wrong.
Professional. Oh, Dale, we missed you today. We'll see you next time around. All right. We do encourage everyone to get involved with the community, community-led events, Salesforce events, and community groups specifically. Right before next meeting is Snowforce in Salt Lake City. I mean, if you're going to go to New Zealand, Kiwi Dreamin' sounds fantastic. Dream Olay, Albania Dreamin', SenCal Dreamin', and Texas Dreamin' is coming up. I'm really focused on Trailblazer DX. That's where we're headed in March. And then Dreamforce is in September. I think that's about that, right? Covered all that. Go meet people. Go meet the people. Because the community, it's really wild, like how we're all connected and how we can all crisscross and help each other out. So it's not just online, it's not just here, it's not just in the virtual world. All right. So are we, oh, hi, would someone mind sharing all the links in the chat? Let's see, Squire, how do we want to go about that? I
mean, the slide deck itself will be posted to the community group.
And I can put that group in the chat and then and get those from there.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Stu.
Yeah, if you want to go back a slide. You are way too fast with these announcements and whatever. If you're gonna go, I mean, just think about this, all you people in the Midwest here. You're gonna get on a plane, you're gonna fly to New Zealand for Kiwi Dreamin' in March 23rd. You might as well get on a plane now, because World Tour Sydney happens on Wednesday, March 1st. You can then be on that side of the planet from March 1st all the way to April 1st. Enjoy the koala bears and the fancy birds. All right.
So Stu, are you opening a travel agency? Because I really think there's potential here. I love
There's
it.
those jumping animals.
Yeah,
what-
the kangaroos.
The K words. So I mean, just think about it.
World
Yeah.
tour is a thing for sure, for sure. I really miss it being in Chicago. Maybe
So you have some other world tours. The world tours are not on this list. So there's things, there's other things. If you want to do, if your life is all around Salesforce, get out of your seat and go find the world. You can do it.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Here is a link to that Salesforce has for community events. You guys can take a poke at that. There's community conferences, learn from experts, Salesforce events that Stuart was talking about, and some other stuff going on. And some of my friends are in that video. Fun. Okay.
And one last thing, for Yumiko, we will post as many as we can, but nearly everything is available through the Trailhead main page. If you go to the Waffle and Trailhead, you can get to all the events, you can get to the links, you can get to Success, you can get to everything you need from Success, with the exception of the bit.ly for every few hours, which I think you probably already have if you joined our meeting. So but we'll do our best to make sure they're all available. So, and Sarah, we're sorry, but we will not allow multi-select pick list questions. We're just gonna move
Sorry,
right
Sarah. Bye. Talk to you later.
Oh, all right.
Just do it.
I'll just leave now. I'll let the door hit me on my way out. Don't worry.
We'll get to Sarah. We'll put you on the list.
Right.
Where
So
are
we
we?
have a pretty good list of stuff, but we do need to start with Lizelle because she was able to join.
Is Lizelle here?
Yep.
Yay! Lizelle, do you want to talk to us about automating an opportunity name upon lead conversion on mobile? I don't see Lizelle. Do we have 2 pages of people? We do.
We have a lot. And possibly because the links in the Success meeting were valuable, maybe she solved the problem. We don't need to talk about it, but
Maybe. But Lizelle's going to give us an update as soon as she unmutes.
cool.
I saw her connecting to audio, so I wonder if she's having like an issue connecting.
Well, why don't we jump to Todd, because he
Good
just
idea.
wanted to drop some knowledge bombs on us, then we can come back when she's able to join.
Todd, where are you? Todd, talk to us.
Doing well. Hey, I was working on some flow this week, last week, and the week before, and
Mhm.
optimizing some things and enhancing the functionality. I redid some things and it quit working. So I create a case and then I assign an owner. And one of the subflows goes through and determines who the owner should be. Quit working. Couldn't assign it. It kept throwing this big old ugly error about I had insufficient rights on cross-reference ID. So I hunted and finally I stumbled across the correct URL. So I'm going to just post that to the chat. Turns out it was number 1. When creating a record and attempting to assign it to a new user in the same cell, it causes that error. You have to create the record first and save it and then assign the owner. Didn't know that. That was only 2 days of my life. So.
I'm so sorry.
So there were 5 other scenarios that can cause that insufficient access rights also posted in that document. So that's why I wanted to share that.
5?
We were here. Yeah, there's a total of 6.
My brain doesn't work that fast. I'm gonna look
There
at
are
them.
6 documented specific examples of when this error can occur.
I've
They
been
don't
on
tell
that
us how
page
many
before.
unspecific there are. Getting an error on the page.
Interesting. That link worked for me. So
That's the only one I have.
Slow.
goodness. So it's the article number is right here. I don't know if that's going to help. All right.
That's
Interesting.
That's happening even if you run it as system mode.
Yes, it did. That was the first thing I found.
Golly, that is crazy.
Yep. As soon as I broke it up, I fill out the create and I save it, and then I go back and I update it.
That seems really awful.
It was.
That sounds awful.
That's all I have today.
Oh, man. All right. It's a
Well,
good share, Todd.
thank
It's a
you.
good call out. I like it. All right, Liz, did we get Lizelle back? Is Lizelle able to join?
she rejoined. We're still not sure if sound is working yet.
If, Todd, if you, sorry, maybe I wasn't listening carefully enough. But if you do that in a subflow, like if you break it out and componentize that and then try that same action in a subflow or in a separate flow, do you still get the error?
I don't know. It was running in a flow called from an action button on the page, and then the subflow does the routing and determines who the owner is and passes that back to the parent flow, and that's
Okay. Yeah. All right. Then
I
that doesn't.
switch it. I got it working and needed to move on.
Yeah. Okay. Shoot.
Yeah, that's a hiccup no one wants to run into. All right, so we're gonna come back to Lizelle when she lets us know. Lizelle, if you can hear us, just like speak up when you get your audio working. Brandon.
Yes.
Brandon.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear
Yeah,
you.
Go ahead.
What you got?
So last time we talked, I had this challenge of this seller effectiveness report that had like win ops, conversion rates, as well as quota. And as we all know, the quotas are stored separately and all this other fun stuff. And so somebody made the suggestion of leveraging formula fields. And I'm pleased to say that I'm able to mimic the results based off of the suggestion that was made. So, you know, kudos to whoever made the recommendation. The what I ended up doing was, let's see, was it this formula field? I just put in what the quota would be for people, so it would auto calculate. And then the rest is just formula fields based off of that in order to get the view. So I don't know if it's the best way to get to it, but it works. And to Todd's point, it worked and I moved on. So
Brent, do you mind really quick? There's a lot of new people on the call. Can you paraphrase the initial problem and how this solved it?
yeah. So basically, the chief revenue officer said, I've got this Excel spreadsheet that I've basically put in the number of ops and the quota and late stage and the percentage conversion. And of course, as you can tell, this is just an Excel spreadsheet. And they were taking the data out of Salesforce and then doing a lot of manipulating of it in Excel to get this to display. And I said, well, we should be able to do that. The hard part is that quotas are stored separately as an object, and to do the kind of reporting, which includes open pipe and closed pipe, was more of a challenge. So hopefully I explained it there.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. Want to thank the team. That's all.
Thank you for sharing.
We got to win. We got a point.
Win. Yep.
Does anyone else do that? Like you're like working heads down, you're doing your thing, and you're like, oh, it worked.
Absolutely.
I used to do that, and it would get like the craziest like looks when I was in Cube Farmland, and it was like, oh, what happened? Like I was watching some sporting event or something. I'm like, nope. And they're like, what works? I'm like, oh, this thing. And they're like, what? Joy, you don't make any sense. Bye. It's all right. It's all right. All right, Brandon, thank you very much for sharing that win with us, because I think collectively, like, we're very excited about it. Well, I am. I don't know. Everyone else, I think. Use your little like reactions. There's that little confetti reaction. There it is. Yay. Melissa, what do you got for us?
I just want to know what people have done when they have created dynamic forms from a detail page And there are custom links because custom links are not supported yet. And so I put this on Twitter, and the suggestions I got were formulas. And then I also thought maybe I could try it with a rich text field. But I don't know.
Ooh, I haven't encountered that.
Box. Yeah.
All of my page layouts don't have custom links.
Are the links dynamic in any way, or is it like a static link that just shows up on every page?
I think they were static links.
Like the Google Maps or I forget what the default ones are.
Like to someone's website or.
Okay, so they're different from record to record. the
Oh yeah.
links.
I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't think they are.
Once upon a time, we had fancy dynamic links like Jack is talking about, but not dynamic page layout links, right? On Classic, it was a dynamic link, and it would take the record name and push it into like a Google search. And then we also took the record name and pushed into a LinkedIn search. And so those were a little bit different. And I don't know if you could like flex the rich text on those. I haven't done that. Has anyone else done that? To find a way to get custom links on the dynamic page layout? Or if you want to give it a run, let Melissa know how it goes.
Yeah, we're just using a rich text component and put all the custom links there with descriptors.
And that didn't work.
From a dynamic link perspective, Jack, are you thinking something like taking the website, but making a link called go to website, and then it knows how to read the page? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
or like if it was pulling in like a field for a particular like address or something to send them over to Google Maps, for instance.
Yeah, the way we got rid of, like, you used to in the old Classic days, raise your hand if you remember what Classic was like. You used to have that like component thing on the homepage where you could put a bunch of custom links, and people wanted that. Everyone went to Lightning, and we did the same thing. We just leverage a rich text component, and we can do custom visibility, so it only shows up on certain record types or whatever. But then you can have the link written out, formatted. You can even have a description. It actually is a better user experience in my opinion, but it's a different component to manage. So,
and you got to do it for every single record that has the link on it, though, because you can't like drop in a dynamic field into a rich text component on a Lightning page. I don't think.
no, good call.
I think
So a formula field might be the way to go if you need to reference like field data per record or something like that. Then you could display the formula field as a link, because you could manually put in, a href equals blah, blah, blah to like build a formula that spits out a link. I've done that before.
What if you, and this is getting crazy, but what if you made a Visual Force page that references I'm just saying.
I know that's possible, and I don't create Visual Force, so I'm trying to avoid that.
It's actually not hard, but
You
I
could
know.
make a
bad
screen
idea.
flow, like an embedded screen flow. Again, I think that's overkill, but
But it's fun,
Another-
right,
Yeah.
Sarah? It's fun.
Oh, I
It's
love it.
overkill, but it's fun. Or see, the problem with Salesforce is there's like 12 kittens in that box you could bring out. In-app guidance. If you have in-app guidance, you could also use in-app guidance, because it does allow you to put in rich text fields and links inside of in-app guidance boxes.
Along with that, Stuart, you can customize the help drop down.
Yes, yeah, you can customize the help screens, or if you have like
No, not the screens, the like you
fine,
can put a question mark and add your own things.
Except those are currently a known issue and won't go away for some users.
Wait, they're what?
It's the Salesforce release known issue where the help text is staying on the page and not going away.
Not the help text, the help and training drop down.
Oh,
from
the
the
drop-
computer.
the drop
Okay,
downs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can customize that and you can add in links there.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Lots of good ideas.
How many
Um,
unique links?
Oh, like 5, 6. I don't think it was a lot.
Is it for a record, or is it holistically across the entire?
Right.
Yeah, that's what Jack was asking too, and I didn't look at it long enough to notice.
Okay.
I think they're static links, but they could be dynamic. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look at them.
Sorry, I meant like, are they always available on every object and page, or are these specific to like when you're looking at an account, they only need to show that?
It would only be on one custom object.
Okay, cool. I'm a big fan of the bookmark component, or not the bookmark, it's the link component, like on the homepage, you can build those really cool buttons and have dynamic links that look like they're part of Salesforce, but don't look like a link. So
Mhm.
that's a nice way to do that too.
What else do we got?
Ideas for ideas.
The on the lightning pages on the bottom, is it console that has can you drop links in there?
On
Along that
the utility bar?
Utility bar?
Yeah.
Utility bar.
Yeah, I think as link and or actions and buttons you can, right? Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking screen flows. You
The
can drop.
people that I'm doing it for do not use console though.
Okay.
Well, but you don't have to use console to use utility bar.
Correct.
Didn't think of it that way.
So Melissa, we'll see you on the 3rd when you go through all of the things we've talked about today, because I'm sure you're going to go back to the recording and be like, oh, what did we talk about at 1:15? Oh, we talked about Melissa needing links and we had lots of ideas, but no solutions. So let us know if we have a collective win later.
Sounds good.
Or, bounce around and play with
It'll
your
be a win one way or another. It'll
know.
work. That's what I needed to hear, is that it will work.
maybe fine. Let us know how it goes though, because or you can poke around while you're listening to us talk about other things. So I like it though. I'm gonna poke around on that when I need a rabbit hole to jump out of. All right, Jack. Unless Lizelle, is Lizelle back? Did we get Lizelle back? Lizelle's audio. Lizelle has audio.
Yes. So yeah, I just don't know how to do this when I Googled and I'm like, oh, I have something. And then I saw someone else suggested another thing in regards to doing the, I guess, automatic opportunity name on conversion on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the way to go? Trigger? Or I saw maybe someone else suggested a flow of some sort too.
So let's get everybody up to speed, Lizelle, really quick. We wanted to wait to make sure that we talked about it with you. So you did a really nice job of summarizing your issue, or your question, I should say, not issue, here. So the short version is you've got a lead, you're converting to opportunity from mobile, and what needs to happen?
Ideally, that when you're updating a patient lead on your phone, that the opportunity automatically populates on the mobile thing, on the mobile aspect. Because on desktop it works. I just don't know why it doesn't automatically populate on the phone. Or maybe I'm clearly missing something.
I think it's a feature that just isn't included in the mobile, like it's just not part of the mobile stuff for whatever reason. When you convert on mobile, it doesn't make the opportunities.
Like it doesn't name them? Is that what the gap is?
I feel like I was looking at this recently. I thought you just couldn't auto create an opportunity on conversion with mobile app, but maybe I'm mistaken.
You can auto create an opportunity on mobile. You just need to make sure that there's some type of field or populated on the opportunity name on mobile, and then it creates it. So I'm just trying to figure out, because I'm telling users, oh, just make sure when you're converting it on your phone, make sure you input, something, but obviously they want to put the least amount of information because they're going to forget. So I'm just trying to figure out a way of doing that. I looked and I saw someone wrote a trigger, and I honestly got panicked. So I said, I'm not going to do this. And then someone else suggested a couple of other things. So would love some thoughts on how other people are going through this or what they've implemented for their org.
I feel like in the past, in the far distant past, like prehistoric past, when there were dinosaurs roaming the earth, workflow. We just used it to rename the opportunities based on a specific naming convention. And it could be renamed down the road, but upon creation, it was a rename. And so, what do we have there, Jack? You've got
So
the,
this sounds like a record trigger
outlines
flow.
of what's different in the mobile that you can't do with lead conversion. So you can
right.
create
And so,
opportunities.
Sarah, I think, do you want to go down the path of record trigger flow to convert my archaic workflow solution?
Yeah, it's what it'd sound like to me. And I'm a little unclear if you'd want this to happen every time for every opportunity, whether you're converting on desktop or mobile. It would be fine. Like that would keep everything standardized, but basically you set it up so that anytime an opportunity is created, and you can specify only of this record type or however, whatever the parameters are, but every time an opportunity is created, you can basically replace the name with whatever your standardized name is. You can create a formula to create your standardized name that even pulls information from the record that's being created, that kind of thing. So it would happen after the conversion, but like microseconds after the conversion, so that you wouldn't necessarily even notice.
But isn't
So
the issue here that someone has to type something in first? Is
yeah,
that what you're trying to
you'd still have
solve
to
as well?
type like test or something like that, or whatever, or like op, or it doesn't matter what they put in there, it'll get replaced with whatever your convention is. They will have to put something in there though.
So how do we fix that?
Yeah. I don't know if we can.
I mean, can you create a custom action that pre-populates the field and does the conversion, or can you
A
override the
custom, a
standard
custom
lead
lead conversion?
Yeah, I didn't say it
On
was a good
mobile.
idea.
On mobile.
Right.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'm assuming you have an opportunity naming convention of sorts that's like lead name and something else.
Yeah, ideally the patient's name, because it's off the person account, so ideally that. But at this point, just anything, just so I'm not missing out. So people aren't missing out on that opportunity creation, because that's just kind of throwing them off, saying, oh, you know, I converted the patient, I have all the information, and opportunities should have been created, because we have some automation in place that once they convert it, an order automatically gets created. So it kind of affects that piece. So I'm just trying to figure out something.
I
So
feel
they're not-
like there's a setting. Enable conversions for Salesforce mobile. Is that's checked?
Yes.
Okay. There's also some other things about, you know, hide opportunity section of convert lead window. You want to make sure that that's set up correctly. Let's see. There's a checkbox that says select don't create an opportunity by default in convert lead window. You want to make sure that's not checked.
Yeah, it sounds like you want a default to get into that field, right? And
Yeah.
there's no way to set that default because we don't have control over the process.
Right.
Man,
But you can from the browser. That's the weird thing, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know who's handling the mobile. I don't even know. Like my last two companies were like, oh, mobile, what? And I'm like, all right, great. We're not doing it.
I mean, the other way to think about this is if you find that you cannot do this at all. I mean, I'm not saying that you cannot do this, but if you find that you can't, then from an architectural level, I'm just saying at a higher level, we need to think about how we loosely couple what you're trying to do with how Salesforce is actually going to do it. And it goes back to what either, I don't know whether Squire, you or Joy said it, but just having a button that says, here's what I'm trying to do, and putting that action button on mobile somewhere, and then having that button call out to Salesforce to do this thing, and loosely couple it, and then have that action happen in the back end. So that we can get away from all of this tightly coupled stuff that's happening inside of the mobile window.
Because at the end of the day, if I understand where you're headed, Stuart, the convert just does a bunch of work that you didn't have to build.
Yeah.
So you could do that with a custom action. It'd be duplicative work, but it gives you the outcome that you need from mobile, right?
It doesn't have to happen real time. It would need to happen by the end of the day.
Right.
And you have the information you need. I have the patient's name. I have all that information I need to create everything. I don't have to do it right here on my phone. I just need to have it done by the end of the day or the hour or whenever. So if there's just a button that I can create that says do this thing, and then send it as an event to say Salesforce do that, But you need to have somebody, obviously you need to have somebody build that action.
There's, I guess a lower code idea could be to say, put this create opportunity from this person account button that's on mobile. And so you would just train your users on mobile to like click this button after they do the conversion and they get to that converted record and they click create opportunity, which is not awesome, but it could work.
Can someone remind me the lead conversion process, when you do the lead to opportunity mapping, are you able to map a lead field to the opportunity name field, or is this not even an option?
Yes, but if there's no custom fields, then there's really nothing to map.
And that's what I'm getting at, is that could you use a formula, hide a formula on lead that's basically like first name, last name, and mobile, say, and then it would populate that as the name when you do click from mobile, and then there'd just be a manual step after the fact, either for flow or like follow-up work to rename it.
Yeah, the help article I just posted basically said that.
Oh,
I
cool.
put it in chat.
Excellent.
It's like use a custom field on your lead to a custom field on the opportunity, and then use a workflow rule, though I would replace that with a record triggered flow to rename the opportunity from that custom field.
Ooh, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's like 4 steps.
Yeah, and that still requires someone to type something manually into the original name field, which is really the catch here, right? It's not standardizing the name, it's about preventing someone to have to type every single time they click the button.
Switching those fields between the name and that formula name.
Is that because the opportunity won't be created without a name?
A required field, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But you can map a field from the browser and it'll pre-populate that field with a value, but not in mobile. It's so weird. It's so weird.
It sounds like a bug, not like, or like a forgotten thing. Like it's just out there, sad.
Can I ask a stupid question? I might have missed it. but-
No stupid, just good.
So
Just good.
hypothetically, if you had a before save flow that ran if the name equals null, because it's not there, that it would populate something else, would that help?
But the record doesn't even exist, so it
Yeah.
can't before save.
Ah,
You don't know
okay.
what is the trigger for that
Yeah.
thing to start.
As it's creating and the name is null, right? Because
Yeah.
it's from the opportunity, but it's on the opportunity and the name is null.
Yeah, the record won't even.
Could you
Build
do that
itself
as a
to
before
pre-commit.
save, like create a record?
I
It
don't
won't-
think so.
Yeah.
Like if before saves are like step 4 in the order of execution, it's not going to get past 1.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I think it's a good idea though.
Trying to think outside the box.
Having
Yeah,
a mobile
no.
product stay in tandem with a desktop or a web product is really hard. And this is just one example of many of the things that I'm sure they struggle with daily.
So you've got some brains on this, Lizelle. We will keep, I guess, marinating on this and see if we can come up with anything. And if you come up with anything, post it in the community, because I know that this is something that you want to get handled. I imagine, Lizelle, because they're using mobile as they're walking in the offices more than like being out and about, like outside of an office. They're just using a mobile device instead of a laptop.
Yes, that's why they said, oh, we need to make this mobile friendly. I'm like, okay, and this is the piece that came up. I'm like, oh, when people say that it's not being, an opportunity isn't creating, it's because they are missing that, hey, I need to throw in opportunity name, but they're like, oh, on my desktop, on my laptop, I don't need to do that. Why do I have to do it on my phone?
Yeah.
And that throws them off. And I'm like, you know what? Good question. And yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah, you could maybe, I don't know if, I don't know. I've got lots of brain like juices in there and it's just trying to, I'm not in an org that's using leads right now either. And so it's not something I could just play with. We'll all think about it for a little bit and then we'll circle back and maybe we'll talk more about it in March. We had Jack next on the list. Is someone playing the guitar, or is that my computer like?
No, I think someone was having some connection challenges. I think we're good though.
Okay, I was like, what's happening?
No, I think that's a Teams call, actually.
No, sounded like a ukulele. I'm like, what is happening? All right, so we have Jack up next. What do you got for us, Jack?
Sorry, real quick. Did we mention a custom button for the lightning pages, like the custom links? Can you maybe make a custom button there too? Might be another option that I don't think was mentioned. And then it would be up in your like actions area. You could have buttons for each of them. I'm not sure if that would work or not, but I think you could
Another good
probably do
idea.
that.
Mhm.
I'm looking for recommendations. I have a weird request from my management. They're trying to get QuickBooks data into Salesforce for reporting purposes because QuickBooks sucks at running reports that aren't just like a P&L. So what I am finding online, mostly are App Exchange solutions, all tend to be real invoicing product object oriented, right? Sending information out of Salesforce to QuickBooks to like create an invoice in QuickBooks and do billing and stuff like that. I need to go the other direction. And not only that, I need to do it I don't care about invoices. I need to just pull in all of our expenses from QuickBooks. I need to pull in all of our income from QuickBooks and get it into Salesforce. So I'm looking for recommendations along those lines, if anybody has any.
How much data are we talking about?
A significant amount. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm gonna
tens upon
recommend.
tens of thousands of rows
Yeah.
of purchase line items.
Yeah. I'm going to recommend you don't.
Thanks. That's what I tried to tell my boss too.
I mean, yes. So you could set up objects. You could set up QuickBook objects inside of Salesforce, even big objects for that matter, and then define custom reports to report on those objects and link them to. I mean, so the whole reason why you would report on them inside of Salesforce is that you are going to link them to other related objects in order to do cross-object reporting and say, oh, these expenses have to do with these clients or these opportunities or whatever, which I think is ridiculous, but those are my opinions. But then after 6 months, your boss is going to say to you, why are we running out of space? We're paying a lot of money for this data on Salesforce. We're running out of space. And you're like, yeah, I mean, we're using up megabytes and megabytes of QuickBooks data. Well, get rid of that crap. We don't need all that crap on Salesforce. We're just using it for reporting. We're not actually using it for transactions or revenue building. No, just for reporting. Well, that's a stupid use of our money. I mean, that's what my boss would tell me, to be honest. I don't know about your boss.
Super expensive
Not
storage.
that, unfortunately, Stuart, but you are preaching to the choir, man. I agree with that assessment. Why would you not just rely on your finance team to deliver and answer the questions that you may have surrounding those things? But for whatever reason, the decision has been made that everything needs to be in Salesforce. So you mentioned like a big object or and connecting that and just trying to do a regular like scheduled import sort of a thing.
There's
more than one table in
integrations.
QuickBooks, right?
That's the problem. Yeah. So we currently use a product called SyncQ, which is close to what we need, but it is finicky and scheduled jobs will just not run sometimes, I can't do a lot of like custom queries based on GUIs and stuff like that with it. So if for some reason it breaks or stops working, I might not find out for 3 or 4 months until somebody's like, hey, all these expenses I'm looking for regarding such and such a record are not showing up in here. And I go back and I'm like, oh, well, there's no expenses for the past 3 months in the system anymore.
Yeah. And
I got to reach out to support, file a ticket, wait for them to like repair things and bring it in and it'll work again. But I get like, that's not a great solution, especially if it keeps breaking all the time on us. So I was just curious if anybody had done anything, even with like Salesforce Analytics, maybe, or
Mauricio says, why not Tableau?
Yeah.
using a big object. Well, yeah.
So I think the thing that
The money is the answer for why not Tableau right out of the gate.
But you're going to run into money is the answer for storing all of the data in Salesforce per Stuart's comment. Andrea says they use Looker for their BI. There's a lot out there, and I think that I think QuickBooks maybe needs to you need to graduate out of QuickBooks. If
think
you need a
Tableau
better
is the-
reporting tool. But
I have this issue before with integrated the QuickBooks, but so that with Salesforce, and we go out because for architect level, that's a piece of shit. Sorry about the word. And we go for Tableau because the Tableau is the application to do all the stuff. Then we can really have all the kind of reports and dashboard that's necessary to display to the users. But putting the amount of data that QuickBooks have in Salesforce, you're gonna spend more money paying storage for Salesforce instead of apply this in Tableau.
So I have two questions that maybe are where the conversation should go with your leadership. So the first one is the value in replicating and maintaining a secondary data store. Do they understand the cost and risk of that? Just regardless of what you're going to do with it, constantly syncing two data stores is a question mark. And then the second one is, if you're putting it in Salesforce, let's be frank, Salesforce is a great way to visualize data. It's not a good analytics tool. If they're going to do anything outside of standard reporting, they're already hamstringing themselves. Using something in Power BI or Looker or there's got to be, I shouldn't say it that way. I assume you've got some sort of analytics platform at your company outside of Salesforce to report SSIS or RS, excuse me. I mean, do you have anything external to Salesforce to write reports?
Truthfully, no, not really at the moment, outside of generating from other yeah, we can get a report out of QuickBooks to some extent, but for the most part, no, everything is being managed within our Salesforce environment in that regard. Hence the boss's desire to bring everything into that environment. So he's got one homepage to go to and look at all of his stats everywhere, right?
Are you a Microsoft shop?
We are not. Well, sorry, define Microsoft shop. What do you mean?
Well, like, I mean, if you've already got enterprise Microsoft licenses for like your standard Office tools or Exchange, or anything,
we got 365.
You might be able to extend that agreement into a generic Power BI or Power Query type licensing agreement and give yourself the connectors that Power BI can give you to do better reporting at a lower cost than what you're talking about doing even in Salesforce.
Okay. Power BI is what it is?
Yeah.
Our enterprise, we have CRM, we have Salesforce analytics, CRM analytics inside of Salesforce. We love it, but it's for Salesforce data. We could bring in QuickBooks data. We could bring in any kind of data, but our enterprise also has Power BI, and they find Power BI to be a much easier, more adoptable, usable tool. And so we don't fight them. We're like, yeah. Use Power BI, use it as much as you want and love it. And that's great.
And Power BI service now allows you to embed Power BI dashboards in Salesforce. So like it's going to extend into that space over time as well. So,
and you guys are Power BI desktop. Is that like the product that you're leveraging for that stuff?
There's a couple different versions. I would get a hold of I assume you have an AE, but maybe not. They could help you pick the right version. If you wanted to play Power BI desktop, there's a like a free version or a trial version that allows you to install locally and then connect to your data sources. Potentially, it depends on what your security levels are, and you can play around there.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty quick to learn platform too. Anybody else?
Well, I'll be the one managing it if it happens. So
I think everyone agrees you'd be better suited spending the time and energy on a tool that does what you're trying to do, and it's less risk averse and easier to support, and it's actually going to extend farther too. So you might be better off with that conversation.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate the feedback on that.
Yeah. All right, so we got that wrapped up. Melissa, did you have any luck? I don't know where she went. I don't see her.
I'm here. It's on a org that I work on the side sometimes. So
okay, so I didn't know if you were playing with it or not. Do we have any other questions? Did anything else pop up in the chat?
Oh,
We've
yeah.
got Sarah and John. I don't think I missed anybody else, but I could
All
be-
right, Sarah, what do you got with your multi-select nonsense? Oh my gosh, I have one too. I'm
gonna chalk this up to multi-select pick lists and not being able to do what I want, but I just wanted to get your yeah, this is just an issue, but so I have a flow and I can share my screen that find the right.
so you have a flow and you want to use the multi-select.
Yeah, so there's a flow. I have a multi-select pick list on the flow screen. It's fine. You can select things. It saves to the record. All of that is fine. Getting it to default the way that I want to is driving me crazy. I will show you what happened.
You can't identify the
Can you
default
just-
value.
Can you just copy and paste my answer from Jack's question down?
I know, right?
Question.
I mean, it's how I feel about it too. And the thing that is driving me crazy about it is that if I set up the defaults, and part of why I thought this might be possible is that there's this help article that says, yes, you can now default into multi-select pick lists, right? If you use the semicolon delimited list, great. So I've set up these multi-select pick lists down here. We have one here that.
Are you sharing? Sorry.
Oh, yes,
sorry.
I am.
I'll unshare 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Okay, so hopefully you can see my flow now.
Yep.
So here we have a multi-select pick list. It's pulling choices from a multi-select pick list on a object. And if I default using just a semicolon delimited list manually typed into the default, that totally works, right? So that's cool. That's great. However, if I use a formula or even if I use the values from that pick list. So if we look at a record here, like here's a record that has values in that pick list, right? It's semicolon delimited, just as we would expect. If I use that as the default, so I have a formula that uses that field as the default, it doesn't work.
What does it
And so
think it's assigning it? Like in the node,
I don't
can you
know.
tell what it's trying to assign?
I'm not sure because like it doesn't, the way that the ScreenFlow debug works, it doesn't actually show me what it's putting into these defaults. Like the only thing I can tell is I know that I've assigned it using this formula, right? Or in this case, we're looking at this one. It's this formula, this text formula, which is the same as this formula here. So ideally, it's taking the field from the object, i.e. this text string, and using that as the default, but it doesn't seem to be working.
Have you tried, is this a ScreenFlow?
Yeah.
There's, well, 2 things. One, you might just make a little test text screen that spits out whatever that actual formula value is to see
Yeah, that's
if
a
it's
good idea.
spitting out a semicolon list, because Salesforce might be doing something funky where if you reference a multi-select, maybe it spits out CSV instead of a semicolon. My other recommendation is I have had to deal with multi-select pick lists and ScreenFlows before too. And there's a unofficial Salesforce component called
Quick
dual
choice
list box.
Or dual list
And
box.
the
Yeah,
dual
okay.
list box is a nice tool. It's a and it's been a hot minute since I've looked at it, but I'm pretty sure you can set defaults based on record choice sets, or a choice set basically. So you could populate that and then populate some predefined values on your dual list box and let your user manipulate them before saving the record.
Great. Those are both really good ideas. Thank you.
I'll post a link to the dual list box component.
Yeah.
So the other question I was going to ask Sarah is it that the formula doesn't know how to render itself? And if you were to assign the value of a formula to a variable and just stick the variable in, will that work?
That might work. I could just certainly, I would be willing to try that for sure.
mean, I think both, I think Jax is probably the better answer. If that component exists, it's probably
Yeah.
something that isn't as easy as me rambling. But I'm just wondering, is it the formula that doesn't know how to work, or is it that the value doesn't know how to assign itself?
Yeah, I think I forgot. I do often put like a little scratch screen and like
Yep.
see what is the actual value here, because I think that's the problem, is it's not getting the right value. Or at least not the value I expect to be giving it. So
Yeah, like the formula thinks it's null at that moment, but it's not really null when you're
Yeah,
looking
who
at it.
knows?
Kind of, yeah.
I would put money on Jack's answer that I think there is a value that's coming back, but it's just not formatted correctly. And if you were to spit that out and look at it, you'd say, oh, that's what I want. It's just not correctly in the right string that Salesforce is looking for.
Yep.
If you can't find it from unofficial SF, the other person that you should talk to is an MVP by the name of Peter Lyons.
Oh yeah,
He has studied the values behind multi-pick lists back and forth, and
Cool.
probably will know exactly what you're looking for here.
Awesome.
I was just gonna say that here's his YouTube channel where he messages or has videos of regarding it.
Let's play Salesforce.
Yeah. Totally.
Nice.
He has
He made
deconstructed
blackjack.
exactly how to break up those things, and it's cool. It's really cool.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's
Thank you so
fantastic.
much. Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, oh, am I gonna have to like go through and somehow extract the values and then reconstruct them in a string the way I don't know. Anyway, thank you. Those are all good ideas.
Yeah, Melissa, you're funny. Yeah, someone has studied multi-select pick lists and how to make them better somehow to like use them, make them useful, as opposed to Steve Mo's directive, I should say, about
just avoid it.
just don't.
Just don't use them. If you don't use them, you don't have problems with them. Easiest
right.
solution.
The let's see, Stuart, do we have any other questions in the chat? No, it's fire.
Absolutely, there is.
Yeah.
John has a question about why his code coverage is not working when he's using Lightning Sync, and I also want to know why the heck that isn't working.
Thank you for taking my question. Yeah, the other thing is it works fine in full, so I can get 100% code coverage and all the tests pass. I can upload or deploy to production. The tests also pass there, but then when I run them through developer console, just to check the tests in that case, I do not, they don't pass, and the code coverage is like 0 because like half the tests fail. And it definitely seems to, in our case, it definitely seems to be related to Lightning Sync. So if we turn off Lightning Sync temporarily and run the test, they will pass.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Well, the worst part is, you run all the tests in full, you run the tests and the deployments, and everything works successfully. But then when you run them in developer console, they'll fail.
So without dumbing it down too much, because I assume this isn't the issue, but is there any chance your tests are looking for real data and you're not manufacturing data in your test?
Not likely, but I mean, I verify once again. And the problem is, it's not just like one test. I haven't been a developer for ACE for the entire life cycle of how we've been using Salesforce. So there are a lot of applications that are already in place that had passed, but no longer pass, and now they're failing.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, you're successfully deploying it to production, and then once it's deployed, it doesn't pass.
Correct. Yeah.
But does it work? And you're just not passing code coverage anymore?
So the tests are the thing that's failing. The actual code in the class works.
Okay. does it need to pass?
Well,
Well,
but it-
overall, so the issue that we're having is because there's a lot of classes out there, the overall code coverage for ACE's entire instance has gone down drastically.
So, okay, the next follow-up question is, when you run it in dev console, you're calling a specific test class?
Yes, and
Okay.
when I do the deployment to prod, I'm also only selecting the tests that I need.
So my next question is there a chance that the test class, while is testing the class specifically, the interaction with the actual platform is failing? So I'll make something up and say, you're inserting a record and doing some DML, but that insert is causing another event, which is actually causing a failure downstream, but it isn't actually the class that's failing. So when you do it holistically, they all pass. But when you run one individually, it's not. I mean, the log, I think, will tell you that if there's a dependency error.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean, I'm just throwing darts though, I'm sorry.
yeah, that's fine. I'm just trying to see if I can narrow down some of this stuff anyway. I mean, like we said, we're able to deploy, we're able to run our classes, but getting the test to work successfully, would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
So, okay, one last question. So
Sure.
if you run all tests, not just a test, or did I misunderstand? You're running a test?
Yeah, I'm only running the tests that are related to the changes that I'm making.
Okay. So if you run all tests, even though you're only making a change to a single test, does it pass?
I haven't tried running all tests.
That might be your next indication of codependence, right?
Okay.
If they all pass, but one doesn't pass on its own, it would signal to me that something else is actually failing, but it won't let your class complete.
I'm guessing that there will be quite a few failures.
Okay.
Because the same reason the one application that I'm trying to deploy passes in the deployment, but then doesn't pass when we run the test. So if I run all the tests through the test option, then a bunch of those will not fail or will not pass as well.
And when you say, how are you deploying through ChainSet?
Yes.
Which version of the test are you running when you deploy by ChainSet? Like you've got like 4 choices, right?
Not sure what you're asking. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So when it comes in and you can like run but not deploy, you've got 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Validate.
So I've run the validate first.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because like there are ways to like make yourself feel comfortable that it'll deploy even without. So I just wanted to make sure I knew which one you were talking about.
Yep. So I run the validate first, so it checks it, and then once that passes, then I'll just run the deploy.
Okay.
Separate.
Yeah, because then after that, you just have the quick deploy, right? You don't need to validate anything again. It's just
correct. Yep.
Boy, John, I wish we'd have hit you first, but I'd like to see it run. We're out of time.
We are out of time. John, bring this back with you on the 3rd because we want to hear about your progress and if we have any other ideas. Also, if you want to post this into the MVP office hours group, I put the link in the chat. But it's MVP office hours US. If you're not part of that group, join us, please.
Yes.
And let's continue this conversation because there's a lot of interesting tidbits here. And it seems strange and unusual, but I'm betting someone else has stumbled on this.
Yeah. So I just while I was trying to write up the question, I was also trying to get some more details to add to it. And I did notice that today when I ran it, it's running successfully. And I believe, so Will is my counterpart. He's also on here. He said that he believes that they turned off the lightning sync. So that's why it's running successfully right now, but they normally keep that on. So
Yeah.
it's definitely time.
All right,
Okay.
friends, it's 2:02
Thank
in my
you.
house, and that means it's time to go. So have a great weekend. It's President's Day weekend in the US. That means there's a lot of people with Monday off, not me. But we'll see you March 3rd. March 3rd, like is that 3 weeks? 3 weeks. 3.
2 weeks, but it's 3-3.
2 weeks. 3 in 2 weeks. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Catch
See you,
online.
folks.
Everybody,
Bye-bye.
thanks.
Aw, man, that was